Yeah, I do. I think that it's been a good second go around in camp. I feel like, like I've said, I was able to do enough work over the break that I was able to kind of hit the ground running once we started up again, and kind of finish that progression that we started in spring training. And I'm excited to pitch in a game that means something here pretty soon.
What do you see are the key points for you going into this season?
I think it's no different than it always is for me or any other pitcher. I think being aggressive, attacking the strike zone, all that stuff that sounds cliche, but you look it's a cliche for a reason, I guess. That's what allows pitchers to have success, and I don't think that I'm any different from anybody else in those regards.
Other questions, please. Chad, I'll take yours at the end. Let me do the beat writers. Jeff?
So what do you think of your new team?
I think it's a great group of guys. Had a lot of fun getting to know them, even though it's a little bit different circumstances than usual that we're used to. I don't think it's kept me from enjoying the group of guys any less. I think that it's a fun group. I think that we're all pulling in the same direction, and when we get out there on the field, I think it's a lot of fun to work with those guys, and I'm looking forward to starting the season with them.
This team's a contender?
I don't see why not. I think that that's the mindset. Is every day you show up to win. I don't think that it matters who the opponent is, whether other people think you're better or not than them. I think that what matters is that the 26, 28, 30 guys in that clubhouse all believe that same thing.
Okay, thank you.
Other questions, please. Let's go to Steven.
You talked about getting ready for Major League season. When it's a full season for a pitcher, it's probably 12 to 13 starts. Just talk about does it change your preparation at all, knowing there's only going to be 12 to 13, or how do you kind of approach it?
I don't think it changes for me at all. I think that I'll still approach it the way that I always have, and that's once one start is over, spend a little bit of time analyzing it. What did I do well? What did I not do well? What can I improve on for the next time out? And then from that point forward, it's moving on to 5 days or however long till I get the ball again next time, is preparing myself for that. I don't think I've ever looked at it as kind of pacing myself throughout the course of the season. I think that like I said, each start is individual to itself, and so I've always approached it as trying to prepare myself the best I can for that start and go out there and give it everything I have.
Very even feel at the time that we talked to you, and obviously we haven't had a chance to be around you all the time, but any extra anxiety, excitement, ready to look forward to actually pitching a Major League game for the first time in almost 15 months?
I can't say one way or another. I mean, I would imagine that there'll probably be a little bit of excitement, but I think that I would imagine that once the game starts, it'll feel pretty normal to me. I think that's kind of the exciting part, is getting a chance to go out there and compete against guys again. When it means something. I think that's when you're injured, that's the part that you miss the most, is being out there with teammates, competing, trying to win. And so I think that once I get back into that setting, I think it'll feel pretty normal to me.
Well, Chris, you got a question?
Yeah, just one. First time we talked to you in January, you said that you had had a chance to look back and try to maybe figure out some issues from the 7 starts that you had last year. Now that you've gone through spring training and this camp, and now that the next time you take them out is going to be a Major League game, are you confident that you're going to get back to the form that where you were so good in 17, 18?
I don't look at it as comparing, where I'm at to years previously or last year. I look at it as I'm in a spot where I feel good with everything I'm doing. I feel good both physically, mentally, and I think that's what's going to ultimately allow me to go out there and have success. Not trying to achieve a certain threshold that I may have or may not have gotten to in the past. I think that focusing on where I'm at right now and doing the best with what I have to work with right now is the way I approach it.
Kevin?
Corey, in this summer camp, as you've kind of gone through it, has there ever been a point in time where you kind of allowed yourself to sit back and just think on whether this is a great idea or not this season?
I don't think that throughout the process of preparing for these 60 games, I'm not sure that I feel like we necessarily have the time to question whether or not it's a good idea. I think that we have to figure out the best way for us to do it successfully, to keep each other safe. I think that ultimately the team that probably stays the healthiest, stays the safest, is going to have a pretty big leg up on other teams. So I think instead of spending time questioning whether or not we should be doing this, I think we've kind of taken the approach of trying to figure out the best way to do it that we feel like we can, and kind of moving forward with that plan.
And as you've seen this take place, what's your feel, having seen like the protocols kind of actually in place and the practical application of it?
I mean, I think that for the course of this camp, I would say things have gone pretty smoothly here. Whether it be testing protocols, things like that. I know that's not the case with every team. There's obviously been teams that have struggled with some things. We haven't had that here, which has been nice. But I think that this is just step one. I think that we can't let our guard down now just because we've gotten to opening day. I think we still need to approach the season staying healthy with that same conviction that we have so far. Going to different cities, going to different states. It throws in different variables, but like I said earlier, we have a plan in place for us to do that the best way that we think will allow us to be successful.
And there's been nothing about this. Is there anything in your mind that's stuck out about this camp as the most surreal moment for you?
Not really. I think that there's a little bit of the first time out there, each game maybe for a second you realize that there's nobody in the stands. But for me at least, once like you get back to that competitiveness, against batter, pitcher, that sort of stuff, I just don't think that it's really been that big of a deal to me. And I think that the different protocols, things like that, have been, in my mind, pretty easy to get used to. It's not anything that I think is really, or at least that I've heard of, that really prevents guys from preparing themselves to get ready. And I think that was probably one of our biggest worries coming into it, was how guys were going to be able to adjust. And I think it's gone pretty well so far from what I can tell.
Thanks, man.
Okay, John Rodigan has a question, then we'll go to you, David.
Corey, most rotations kind of feed off each other, maybe even compete with each other, at least most that I've been around. Is that true in your history and your experience, that you find yourself feeding off or even competing with the other guys in the rotation? And then part two, how do you feel about competing with / feeding off the guys that are in this rotation?
Personally, I've never looked at it as competing against, just because I feel like we're all on the same team. We're all pulling for the same thing. Ultimately, whether a guy goes out and pitches to his standards or not, as long as the team wins the ball game, obviously that's the ultimate goal. So the way I look at it, whether I pitch better or worse than one of the other five guys, all four of the other five guys, as long as we're winning ball games, that's what's the important thing. But I do think that you can build momentum off of each other, whether it be a rotation, a lineup, a whole team. I think that momentum is definitely part of baseball. So I think that with this shortened season, I think if a team gets on a roll, it's going to be a big advantage to kind of maintain that.
Thanks.
Hey, David, go ahead. Unmute yourself.
Hi, Corey. David, Willstar Local Media. Just a two-part question for you. First of all, how's the adjustment been to pitching in front of no people and crowd noise? And also, just the thought of being 2 wins away from 100 career wins.
I don't think it's really been a huge adjustment. Obviously, we got crowd noise pumping in through the speakers now, so that gives you a little bit of background noise, so it's not dead silent out there. So I think that there's probably going to be points in time when maybe a home team, is putting a rally together or things like that, when maybe the crowd would have been a factor, then they're not going to be. But I think that all in all, it's probably a minimal adjustment. That being said, like I said, I do think there are times when a crowd can make a difference in a game. But I think that, at least for the majority of this camp so far, it hasn't been something that I've really noticed too much or been affected by while I'm out there on the mound. Second part of it, honestly, that doesn't really occur to me. It's not something I've thought about at all. Whether there's 2 wins, 1 wins, 10 wins away from whatever milestone, that's not what my concern is out there. My concern is trying to help the team win games.